We're back with more Talking Law TV, and we're here with Christie Register talking about uncontested divorces.
Hey, Michael.
Hi, Christie. So this is when you don't like each other anymore, but apparently you still get along.
Yes.
So what are the grounds for divorce in Georgia, period?
There are several grounds in Georgia. Usually what pops to mind with most people first is adultery, cruel treatment, abandonment. Typically, though, with an uncontested divorce, it's just irreconcilable differences, can't get along. Doesn't cast any blame on anybody. That's
why Georgia is called a no-fault state?
Well, you have to list the grounds, but it's basically a blameless ground. You're not saying that one person mistreated the other. You're just saying we don't get along and we want to go our separate ways.
Do you have to live in Georgia a certain amount of time to get divorced here?
Well, in order to file a complaint, you have to test that you've been a resident for the state of Georgia for the last 6 months.
Now, what if you're a military personnel and you just were transferred here?
Well, military, you know, residency and where your domicile isn't necessarily where you lay your head every night and go to bed. So if you've got somebody that's being transferred here from North Carolina, for example, he may hold the position that he's still a resident of North Carolina. He's just here on a temporary basis. So it's really, you take it on a case-by-case basis and look at the facts of each case.
What if he spent the last year in Afghanistan?
Exactly, and we've got a lot of people in that position. Then he still could say, well, yes, I did spend the last year in Afghanistan, but I'm a resident of Georgia. This is where I live. This is where I intend to live when I get back from Afghanistan.
So he comes home on leave. Sally Jane's been cheating on him. He can file for divorce while he's home?
Sure.
And the fact he's been gone doesn't matter? What about the wife? If she goes home to live with her parents, but they still have an apartment or something here, can she claim it's not her house? Or does it matter? Both people have to qualify?
Well, no, just the one. And remember, we're talking about uncontested divorce, which occurs when both parties are agreeing to get a divorce. So in that case, even if, say, wife has decided to move back to Texas, she can voluntarily sign all the forms, waive any issues of venue, submit to the jurisdiction, and you can get the divorce done here.
Are uncontested divorces substantially cheaper than a regular divorce?
Yes. And you know, you get the same result. You end up getting divorced. So
I thought you meant get rid of somebody.
No. You end the marriage. Yes, if you can work it out, if there's any way possible, I encourage people to do that. Now, it's not always possible. Sometimes you may have one party who just is not going to agree, so you can't do the uncontested divorce. That certainly is when both people agree. You know, I remind people, and try not to sound too sarcastic, I cannot make the other person sign. So if somebody comes to me for an uncontested divorce, I tell them this is purely voluntary. You know, if they won't sign, your only choice is to file an action against them, have the sheriff serve the papers, and start the contested divorce process.
Now, is a collaborative divorce the same as uncontested?
A lot of people use that term. Just meaning that you're collaborating, you're agreeing. You decide upon the terms, you know, who gets the house, what do you do with the debt, children, child support. You just reach an agreement on all of the necessary terms, put it in writing, and file the complaint. You have to wait the 31 days, and then you can get a hearing and get divorced.
So is an uncontested divorce not mainly for people who don't have a lot of assets or children, but you could actually be quite substantial and have lots of kids and everything and still do one?
Yeah, you can. Uncontested is for couples who can go their separate ways and agree to the terms of everything, which is typically property division, if there are children involved, then child support, child custody.
Now, child support, there are guidelines put forth by the state anyway, right?
Right. There's you have to do child support worksheets, put in information on both parties' income. It's unfortunately, and certainly I am a believer in hiring a professional, you know, hire a lawyer. Those child support worksheets have almost made it to where you can't do it pro se. You can't represent yourself because it's so complicated. So which is kind of unfortunate, because a lot of people, I think, have successfully filed their own uncontested divorces and done fine. Child support worksheets changing, though, in 2007 is difficult to do it yourself.
Now, uncontested doesn't mean not having a lawyer?
No, it doesn't. It means you're not contesting it. It means that you're agreeing to the terms. You're voluntarily, you decide who's going to be the plaintiff, who's going to be the defendant. The defendant voluntarily signs everything, and then you get it done, and you don't have to have a hearing.
Does that matter to some people who the plaintiff is?
Yes. A lot of people, people, both sides of the time, I don't want to be the one who filed it. Because a lot of people think, that maybe it's sin to get a divorce, so they say, no, I do not want to be the plaintiff. Whereas some people say, I want to be the plaintiff. I want everybody to know that I'm leaving him because he's so rotten. Does it matter? No. It's just a technicality.
And what about annulment? Could that be an answer for some people?
Yeah, for some people, and that's probably underutilized, is just to get the marriage annulled instead of getting a divorce.
So we lived together for 6 years and bought 3 houses, but we really never were married.
I know that's kind of a stretch, but in my opinion, but it's possible if you don't have children, you can do that.
Okay, in your basic dink marriage, double income, no kids, and you both have jobs. Is alimony sort of out of the question in today's society, or do people still do that a lot?
That's a tough call, and honestly, it depends on the jury that you get. A lot of people, especially if both parties do have income, then they'll agree to no alimony. I think in shorter marriages, you may not expect to get alimony, but it's like going to Vegas. You can't predict how it's going to turn out. So, some people say, is it just absolutely hopeless? No, because juries are so unpredictable. So uncontested, alimony is another issue. Are both parties agreeing to pay and get the amount, or are both parties agreeing not to pay?
Have you had people come to you for an uncontested divorce and there was an obvious disparity in their understanding of what was going on, and you said this isn't really for you, but? More often than that, I have had people who take the position, I just want to get it over with. And they're giving up everything, and that kind of concerns me, because I like to see things done fairly, and I know that's very subjective. What may seem fair to one is not fair to the other. But what I tell people, and I try to help them remember, is that this is a permanent decision. I know you want to get it over with, but 6 months from now, you need to be happy with this decision you're making, because a lot of people, they'll come in, I don't want anything from him. I don't even want child support. I just want to get this over with, and if I don't go for child support, then he'll sign the paperwork. Okay, but it's not your child support to give up. Right. It's the children. So a lot of people, I think, in haste, say, I just want to get it over with, but you need to make sure it's fair. And a lot of judges, they won't let you give up child support. So it has to be reasonable in that regard. The judge won't sign it. Yeah, I read about a recent divorce where the woman had worked. They were married for 10 years. She had worked to put him through college and medical school. And then she found out he was cheating, and she was so mad she just wanted a divorce to get it over with. And it's like, you're crazy.
Well, to each his own. If you want to walk away from it, but it says this is a final agreement. So once you sign, the judge incorporates into the order, you're done. You can't change your mind.
Okay. Well, thank you, Christie. If you have questions about divorce, you can contact Christie through our website or through our toll-free number that's shown on the screen. We'll be back with Christie and Doug answering your viewer mail questions right after this.